Hello world, I'm on Carp. Welcome back to 80 days where we are in Copenhagen at the moment. We're at day 7, so from London to Copenhagen in 7 days we have 73 days to get around the rest of the world. Doesn't really... It feels like we're not going as fast as we should by now, but hey, let's see. We're at Copenhagen at the moment. We just spent the night in a hotel and we get something happening here. With what remained of the day, I went out to explore a little and found a cheerful Greek woman who had lost a purse, which I helped to find, and who then, in between outbursts of shouting, let it slip that a sister visited Minsk a year before the St. Petersburg Express to St. Petersburg became popular. I paid £1 for the information and she nodded and then moved away. Later that evening I returned to my room in time to see someone leaving. I called to them, but without turning they began to run. I gave chase, but although I am a healthy man of relatively few years and capable in a pinch of some exertion, this mysterious character was fleeter yet, and as I turned a corner they had vanished into thin air. Show yourself, I demanded, but no one materialized. I returned to the room but was relieved to find nothing from my belongings appeared to be missing. We had been lucky, this time at least. Your funds have gone down a touch, yes, we paid that £1 for that information. Relations with Fog have strengthened slightly. Okay, good. And we found a route from Minsk to St. Petersburg, but that's not the way we're going. So let's depart over here to Stockholm. And hey, we got something good that will help us here. So, okay, we're gonna lose 10 health from Mr. Fog here, but that is fine. The ferry from Copenhagen left promptly, but never accelerated to much of a convincing top speed. Well, I was happy to relax and enjoy the thin northerly sunshine. Ooh, relations with Fog have deteriorated slightly. Your character is now swayed. Okay, we can converse with Fog. What is your wisdom, Master? Passepartout, there you are. Let's talk about Stockholm. Did you discover anything in the paper about Stockholm? Stockholm seems to be weathering the changing world economy. Can we read you some English poetry? Yes, we can. Ah, a reminder of my school days. Let's ask about St. Petersburg. What do you know about St. Petersburg? They say that Shah is taking heavy-handed actions in St. Petersburg. Very good. Well, that didn't help us. We really need to find a route from Stockholm to St. Petersburg. The day dragged along. Never want to leave a problem untackled or a color unstarched. I went to see the captain to inquire whether any bursts of speed were possible. But to my surprise, I found the bridge deserted. The controls were being operated and the boat steered by a series of straps and pulleys that fed into a large black box at the far end of the room. Weary of breaking anything, I backed away. It seemed the boat had a far better idea of what it was doing than I. Probably should have checked the box. Maybe it would have given us some nice info there. The ferry's daily progress continued until we reached the coast of Sweden. I expected to see the crew emerge and make themselves busy, but nothing happened. It seemed our boat was quite deserted. Still, we docked perfectly. Whatever controlled the boat, it was clearly extremely precise. We will have to explore Stockholm to find an onward journey. Yes, I know. Let's look at the... Well, there's a Caribbean timetable. We're way off from Caribbean, so... Russian gentlemen's of interest to feminine posh types. Let's see if we can get rid of this. I don't think we need this anymore. Tromsø and Smerenburg. We're not going to Tromsø and Smerenburg. I think we should buy this oil just for, you know, just to get it. Right, let's explore. New routes discovered. Want to St. Petersburg, please? Oh, crap! I just realized we probably would have needed the timetable to actually use the route. Like, even if we know there's a route out of St. Petersburg, now that we don't have the timetable and the route's not showing, we probably can't just use it, like, immediately. We met a middle-aged Swede by the name of Sven who offered to show us around during the day. The city was undergoing vast development everywhere we looked. Great monstrous machines moved the very earth, and buildings made of granite slabs rose like Egyptian temples block by block, almost as we watched. We are building the future here in Sweden. We are very advanced, Sven told me. Do you have good transportation? I asked on behalf of my master, who would never, of course, lower himself to ask the question directly. The best, he replied, but specifics were somewhat harder to come by. I asked about Russia. Our northern route was destined to cross the Tsar's borders soon. Sven looked thoughtful. Russia is not a very happy place, he remarked, though getting him to say more than that was impossible. We took our leave of him, and he seemed almost sorry to see us go. I suspect he was a lonely soul. Okay, so plan. Oh crap, time is passing by. I just did a little thing here without thinking, and yeah. Okay, we'll have to spend the night. Okay, that's fine, we'll spend the night in Stockholm. Yeah, we'll spend the day in the hotel, we'll pass the night here. We found our hotel to be very well appointed, and we're glad of it, because the streets outside became fearfully cold as night fell. It is a wonder people can live in such a chilly place, I remarked to my master, who gave me a look even chillier in response. People, he replied, live everywhere. A cheerful thought. From the way he turned his head, it was clear that Monsieur Fogg found my remark distasteful, but he made no particular rejoinder. Right, depart to St. Petersburg. Embark. 3 miles this cold weather, the Englishman's wardrobe will help us a bit. Okay. Let's head on. We left Stockholm promptly and without fuss. Okay, let's converse. Greetings, monsieur. Yes? St. Petersburg? I'm told they say that Tsar is heading heavy-handed action in St. Petersburg. Not for me, I think. Okay, probably want to head toward Moscow. It's possible to go from St. Petersburg to Moscow. Yes, one can travel by train from St. Petersburg to Moscow, but the journey is a tiring one. And what about Moscow? Tell me more about Moscow. I prefer the Kremlin to St. Basil's onion domes. Goodbye. Okay. We're gonna stop at Helsinki. The ferry left Stockholm's terminal and cut into the Baltic Sea for the short crossing to Helsinki. I leaned out over the rail with a few other passengers, one of whom, a young Finnish girl, passed the time trying to teach me a little of the language. No. Never. The grammar appeared terribly complex, well, it is, but perfectly designed for describing quickly and accurately the positioning of objects relative to other objects. We Finns make excellent clockwork, the girl remarked. We are also very tidy. I asked my new friend how we should proceed from Helsinki, what she could tell us our journey into Russia. Russia is the bear, she replied. It is clumsy as a bear. It does not mean to kill everything it touches, but... And she shrugged. It kills everything it touches. We docked at Helsinki in the early evening, and I waited to my friend as she disembarked. Monsieur Fogg, I think, pretended not to notice. Oh, once again our relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly. That's probably not such a good thing. And we're at St. Petersburg, so let's try to see if we can get to Moscow immediately. In 3 days? Well, let's negotiate. 1,900 for tomorrow. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Okay, so we could go to Minsk. That's going backwards. We can't go to Minsk. Could we explore here? No, we can't explore here. What about, is there anything in the market? We got some fur-lined boots. We got an Ushanka. We got a Fabergé egg for 4,700 in Herat. Where's Herat? I have absolutely no idea where such a place is. Okay, but yeah, we're gonna have to wait for 3 days here. Let's negotiate 1 day off for 500. Is it worth it? It's gonna cost us 600 to get there. You know, let's do it. And then we're gonna have to spend 2 days here. Spend 1 day in a hotel. We'll pass the night here. Yes. I hope you'll get a bit better. Yes, you do get a bit better. Nevsky Prospect, immortalized by Dostoevsky and Gogol, would have been unrecognizable to those venerable writers. Imperial soldiers filled the streets in Galitsny Kodunki, enormous black iron hydraulic walkers. We stayed boldly and decisively away and saw little more than the occasional flying fragment of stone bashed out of some wall somewhere. Your character is now well healed. Right, can we get there yet? No, tomorrow, and we could... Yeah, negotiate another 500. Let's just explore here. New routes discovered. Yay, but that route doesn't really help us. Or interesting. I spent a few hours in exploration learning ways in which you might travel onwards. Whoa. Travel 238 miles, favorite transport boats. Okay, I wasn't expecting to get such information from there. I thought that would just take us to the map. But no. So I want to see, where does this take? To Sumerian book. Like, why would we ever go there? Well, don't really know, but maybe like could for some reason do that. Okay, we'll spend the night and then tomorrow we'll leave, and we've already spent 11 days. As night fell, I engaged another guest in conversation to learn what I could, but I obtained nothing but tips for doing laundry. Right, let's depart for Moscow. I mean, because we can't really just depart for Vladivostok. I'm pretty sure that if I just kept that timetable, we could take it immediately, like head straight there. Okay, we'll get going with the Tsar's finger. The line from St. Petersburg to Moscow was affectionately known as the Tsar's finger and ran perfectly straight apart from a bend near the city of Novgorod. The story went that the route was drawn by the Tsar, the ruler, except where he drew around his own fingertip. This was ludicrous, obviously, and it seems more likely that the steep mountainsides were more to blame than any stray imperial digits. Your character is now presentable. Okay, and let's converse. Greetings, Monsieur Panvilov. I'm traveling on business of the highest order. Begin conversation. I need to know about Moscow. The Tsar has formed his own secret police, I hear. Moscow. Probably should always check out where we want to go before that, so I don't know. Which way is Odessa? Can you travel from Moscow to Odessa? Who cares? But the fastest way to Odessa from here is via St. Petersburg. Well, we are in St. Petersburg. What about Moscow? Tsaritsyn? It's possible to travel from Moscow to Tsaritsyn? Absolutely. Moscow is connected to Tsaritsyn by rail, but the journey is a tiring one. What if we use the perfumed oils here? Have you smelled these, Monsieur Panfilov? They are delectable. What a marvelous idea. Moscow. I prefer the Kremlin to St. Basil's onion domes. Hear this. One can travel aboard the Trans-Siberian Express from Moscow to Irkutsk, but the fare is over 1,000 pounds. Irkutsk? Do tell me more about Irkutsk. Hear this. There is neither bank nor market in Irkutsk. And what about Irkutsk to Pangsal Pass? Is there a route from Irkutsk to Pangsal Pass? Talk a lot, don't you? Can we use English poetry? Are you a fan of poetry, monsieur? You are too kind. What about Irkutsk? Urga can be reached from Irkutsk by the Mongol horse caravan. What about Irkutsk to Karimskaya? Is there a route from Irkutsk to Karimskaya? No idea, but the only bank in Karimskaya has gone bankrupt. What about Irkutsk? It's possible to go from Irkutsk to Ussurisk. You'd have to ask my secretary, but the last bank in Ussurisk has closed. Goodbye. Okay, at least we get, yeah, the Trans-Siberian Express route now. Good. So we can use that to head to Vladivostok immediately. I'll probably save some time, even though it costs £1,000. The train was comfortable enough. I spent my first day aboard in conversation, trying to gather information for our next journey, discovering from a remarkably energetic Afghan clerk that the governor at Omsk is a likable fellow who enjoys travelers' tales. There was one more curious incident that day. I visited our compartment at one point to find it unlocked, remembering the intruder I had seen once previously and chased away. I immediately checked our bags to discover to my surprise that we were in fact one position richer. Someone had dropped or slipped a silver-plated cigarette case into our bag. I turned it over with interest, finding an inscription on one side, GH, but it was not clear what it meant. We settled down for the night. GH. The cigarette case should fetch a good price in Colombo if we don't find a use for it. Okay, let's... Oh, crap, didn't manage to press the converse button there. The train was stopped twice before reaching Moscow. The first time it was searched for artificers' equipment, and the second time they searched for weaponry. It seems the Russians do not take risks, or else they simply like to keep their people under their thumb. Unfortunately, one of the other passengers decided to put up a fight, insisting they would not open their suitcase. A standoff commenced. I got to my feet, knowing Monsieur Fogg's wish would be for a speedy resolution, no matter the cost. I approached the man directly and... demanded he turn himself in. Whatever secret you hide, monsieur, I declared, it is not worth making us other travelers suffer. The guard, spurred on by my words, grabbed the man by his arms and marched him off the train. We began to move once more. I watched out of the window as the man with the case was searched and his possessions confiscated before he was led away. I must confess, I felt no pride in my actions, but we made it into Moscow on time. Okay, the secret case could be sold handsomely here, could it? Sell for 170. No, that's not really handsome. Are these things valuable in Baku? Part of the engineer set, part of the heavy storm set, part of the cold climate set. I don't really think these are things we want to buy, but we want to head to, yeah, Vladivostok tomorrow. Oh, minus 59. 3,000. Well, this seems like the fastest way to get around the world. Like, this is a huge stretch of land, so okay, let's just spend the night. Yeah, but let's explore. We might find something good from exploring. Moscow was not a comfortable city for a Frenchman. A local composer had just written a piece people were calling the 1812 Overture, commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon's invading Grande Armée in that fateful year. Patriotic passions were at fever pitch, but I did not let that stop me from exploring the city, though I resolved to remain mute and unobjectionable should I encounter anyone. I traversed the city on foot, keeping out of sight of the patrols of uniformed policemen and Cossack troops mounted on black mechanical steeds. I ventured away from the wide boulevards and the eclectic architecture of Tverskaya Street towards the Kremlin. Spasskaya Tower, topped by the two-headed imperial eagle, loomed over the square, but my eye was drawn to the improbable onion domes. I mean, people have been speaking about the onion domes to us. Of St. Basil's Cathedral. They were like nothing else I have ever seen. A fantasy spun into architecture. A well-meaning Chinese tourist saw my wonder and handed me a postcard with a painting of St. Basil upon it. As the bells of the nearby church chimed the hour, I returned to my master, content with my brief view of the Tsar's capital city. Okay, let's head to the hotel. We'll pass the night here. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing now. Before retiring, you know what? Let's attend to Monsieur Fogg, ensuring he had fresh teeth. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly, because, yeah, we're gonna lose 60 of his health for this trip, so let's make him be at... Ooh, the Englishman wardrobes to soften things a little. Nice, so we're only gonna lose like about 40. So, we're ahead at the Trans-Siberian Express. The bell in the stuccoed and whitewashed Moscow station gave its third and final clang, and the platform erupted into frenzy. We boarded calmly and found ourselves in a small cabin with heated water and even a shaving room. Your character is now well healed. I thought we already were. Okay, let's converse. Greetings, Monsieur de Gusting. Let's share a glass of wine together, Monsieur. What can you tell me of Vladivostok? I hear the commercial port has been relocated. It is now a military town. Can we get from there to... these are in... No, Pyongyang is in Korea, right? It is possible to travel from Vladivostok to Pyongyang. Absolutely. Pyongyang can be reached from Vladivostok by fisherman's boats, but the journey is a tiring one. And can we get from Pyongyang to Manila? Is there a route from Pyongyang to Manila? Absolutely. I knew a man who had a friend who worked aboard the steam yacht White Thunder from Pyongyang to Manila. Let's use the perfumed oils. Have you smelled this, Monsieur Dickinson? They are delectable. Don't mind if I do. And let's ask more about Pyongyang. And can we get from there to Lahore? Here's something I do know. Mughal artificers designed the 410 fountains of the Shalimar Gardens. What about from Pyongyang to Izmir? Where's Izmir? I don't know. It's possible to travel from Pyongyang to Izmir. You'd have to ask my secretary, but you can buy handheld mirrors in Izmir, extremely valuable in Tehran. Okay, let's use the English pantry and ask about, you know, Pyongyang. The Chinese and Japanese view for influence over Korea. Can we get from there to Port Moresby? Where is Port Moresby? I don't know. He doubts that. What about from Pyongyang to San Francisco? He didn't tell us. Did you know buyers in Regina will pay extraordinary prices for buffalo hides from San Francisco? Goodbye. Okay, so we got some new routes for sure. Okay. So we go. Oh right, that's not really the way we want to go. Let's see this way a tiny bit here. Plan a little bit. So from Vladivostok, we'd really like to go to Yokohama, I think, because we need to get over the ocean here. That's the big problem. Getting to San Francisco or Honolulu from Yokohama would be excellent. I mean, apparently I've gone this way last time. So, yeah. Let's hope that we can get from Vladivostok to Yokohama, and let's hope that we can actually have money. Okay, something's happening here. We were away. I familiarized myself with the train's layout. The last two carriages were heavily guarded prison cars, then fourth class, then third, and so on, with amenities scattered between passengers' cars. The smoking room was beside the dining car, plusly decked in Moorish fashion with low seats. I sat myself down and shared a cigar with a Russian businessman who told me that some buyers would pay well for evening jackets from Yokohama. It was good to see that wherever one goes, the conversations one has are much the same. My bed that night swayed along with the motion of the train. From Moscow to Karmenskaya was a journey of over 5,000 miles, and we had only just begun. Yes, I know we can do that. That's what I've been trying to do for quite a while. Greetings, Madame Pavlichenko. May I see your ticket? How I despise this job. Okay, so let's ask about Vladivostok. I hear the commercial port has been relocated. It is now a military town. Be careful in Vladivostok. There are rumors of war with Japan. Okay, so can we get to Yokohama? I believe so. There is a regular Korean trader service from Vladivostok to Yokohama, but it's slow going. Okay, and then from Yokohama, can we get to Honolulu? Is it possible to go from Yokohama to Honolulu? Did you know you can buy revolvers in Honolulu? Extremely valuable in Panama City. Goodbye. Okay, so we can get from Vladivostok to Yokohama, and hopefully we can get from there to Honolulu or San Francisco and, you know, get over the ocean. That's gonna be the problem. We also don't have that much money anymore, so it's probably gonna be really hard. Our fellow passengers were a mix of convicts, political radicals, prospectors, businessmen, and military officers. In the midst of this was a young lady, Rosa, modestly dressed in rich military-style jacket and fur toque. I made her acquaintance only too easily. She was desperate for a sympathetic ear and told me her great secret. She had fallen in love with a peasant boy in fourth class called Jech, by which I understood that they had shared a glance of extreme passion in the baggage car. I promised I would give her any aid I could to pursue her trust. What else could I do? Surely it would provide some entertainment on our long voyage. We crossed the Volga in the early afternoon, crawling slowly over a bridge perched on high stone pillars. It was a muddy, sluggish river clogged with floating islands of rafts and large steamers bound for the Caspian Sea. I could just hear the lilting, rhythmic oar-beating songs of the Volga boatmen over the whistle of steamboats. Your character is no swab. I think we were swab already. Oh, this is gonna take forever to get to Vladivostok. Something happening over here. We crossed the Urals today. At the risk of sounding like a jaded traveler, I must admit that they are hardly magnificent. A heaving up of earth and forested hills for a few hundred miles. We stopped for an hour at Ekaterinburg, where I spotted the young lady slipping off the fourth class. Her worried mama followed soon after, demanding whether anyone had seen her daughter Rosa. I made an excuse for Rosa, gesturing discreetly in the direction of the lavatories. They were mixed-sex conveniences and cause of much inconvenience, truth be told. Her mama was convinced and settled down to her luncheon with gusto. Rosa returned a half-hour hence, cheeks flushed but otherwise unharmed. She cast me a grateful glance. I could only hope her little amour would not blossom into outright scandal. Let's deal with Fog. Make him a bit more healthy. Yes, you feel better, of course you do. Time on board train takes on a meditative quality. I visited the library car and met Goland, the daughter of a Mongol chieftain who was poring over a thick volume of algebra. I lamented my lack of mathematical skill aloud, and she laughed. I must study algebra if I am to be an engineer in the Imperial Army of Russia. I wish to leave behind my ancestors' warrior past. It is a new world, I observed. We may remake ourselves as we like. She laughed delighted. Just so. She folded the book closed. You have traveled, monsieur. They call us barbarians, don't they? She asked. Who are they and what do they matter? I demanded with fine rhetoric and spirit. Your life is yours. She leaned forward, eyes shining. The truth is, there is more going on in my country than most outsiders know. We are growing fast as a people. What do you mean? I asked, intrigued. This is the age of progress, she replied, tapping her books. Of systems and of thermodynamics. And my people, we have discovered some very interesting things. I was intrigued and leaned forward to hear more, but the girl shook her head. I won't tell you, she said and laughed. I will show you tomorrow night on the deck. I will be there, I nodded. We conversed until supper and she presented me with her family's Sulday, a Mongolian horsetail banner. I don't have any need of my past where I'm going, she said. You have it, do it with what you will. Your character is now presentable. So the Mongol Sulday should fetch a good price at Salt Lake City, if we don't find a use for it. Ah, Omsk today, we decanted a full score of British, Dutch and German. No, I'm definitely not going to decant ourselves on the platform, because my luck it's going to be something like, oh, and then we were missed the train and got stuck. Yeah, a full score of British, Dutch and German merchants, and took on more military officers who cleared an entire first-class carriage for the use of a mysterious couple. I got a brief glimpse of the woman behind the bristle of bayonets. I was fairly overset with curiosity, but it would be several days before I encountered the couple again. The hour grew late, and my meeting with Golan the mathematician approached. Monsieur Fogg watched my bustling about our cabin with suspicion. You look as though you're planning an escape, he remarked. I think perhaps I will stretch my legs. Monsieur Fogg nodded and folded his newspaper. Then I will come with you. Sir, I am meeting a woman, I confessed. Monsieur Fogg lowered his paper. Is that so? He replied. And how, pray, do you explain such a thing? It is a natural enough pastime, I replied, with just a hint of righteousness in my tone. Monsieur Fogg's eyebrows twitched in the manner of his, but he said nothing, returning to his newspaper. I breathed a sigh of relief and hurried from the cabin to meet Golan on the viewing platform of the train. You came, she said. I am glad. As am I. She looked at my eyes for a moment, then smiled quickly. Taking my hand, she walked along the edge of the rail, the wind tucking her hair into a wild dance. The train's lamp was a single candle in an endless night. Lifting my hand past her cheek, she pointed my finger out into the desert. There! I saw nothing except evening stars. I shook my head and Golan laughed. There! She exclaimed. How many stars do you know that move? She was right. One gleaming dot in the dark horizon was lifting upwards. Golan squeezed my hand. That star is the Garuda launching, she replied. It flies at night to keep it a secret, but now you know it. What is the Garuda? I asked. The world has been made small by airships, Golan replied. They'll pull everyone closer together, but our Garuda is faster still. It will turn this world into a single teeming city, and Olga will be at this new world's heart. It sounds most formidable, I told her. Now you see why I'm studying, she replied. Everything about this new world will be different, and I will help shape it. You will rise like that star, I told her. Flatterer, her dark eyes flashed with hot anger. A moment later, she stood on her tiptoes and leaned forward. Out there on the dark deck of that remarkable train, with the endless Russian night bitterly cold, the lady of the steppes kissed me. Relations with Fogg have deteriorated, and our character is now suave. But I think we're actually going to end this episode here and continue from this point in the next one. I'm Carp, this has been 80 Days. Goodbye world, thanks for watching, see you next time.